Good afternoon, everyone. I, Isna Amir, welcome you all to this panel discussion number 5 titled Documentary Production During COVID-19 Challenges and Opportunities, moderated by Dr. Vikrant Kishore, Course Director, Film, Television and Animation, School of Communications, Creative Arts, Deakin University, Melbourne University. CIFFI 2020 is the world's first 7-day hybrid film festival organized by DME Media School, one of the top media schools in the country, in association with the prestigious Deakin University, Melbourne, Australia. While DME Media School focuses on the growth of faculty and the students through academic and co-curricular activities, Deakin University imparts award-winning courses with innovative teaching methodologies. DME is an emerging educational institute located in Noida. Deakin University is one of the biggest public universities of Australia located in Melbourne. CIFFI is being organized on a hybrid mode to serve as a useful platform for looking towards new ways of working and how to navigate through challenging times. Follow us on our social media handles, CIFFI Awards on Instagram and Twitter, and CIFFI on Facebook. All the links are mentioned in the chat box. Please go check them out. Today, we will be screening 11 following films of 6 hours total: Blood Rainbow, FIR, Report Aa Gayi, Sab Jeet Gaye, Everybody is Happy, Wrong Number, God Bharai, Clones, and Open Sky, Shidzo, The Other Dimension of Friendship, India's Healing Forest. You can watch the films on our website, ciffi.dme.ac.in. Now, I would like to request Professor Dr. Amrish Saxena, Festival Director and Dean DME Media School, to kindly give the opening remarks.
Thank you, Isna. This morning started, this is the third day of Semester International Film Festival. And this morning we started with a brainstorming session, a panel discussion, which was steered by Dr. Gauri Chakravarti, who is the head of communication school in the biggest private university in India, MET University, located in Noida. And there were very good panelists comprising that session, which include a female cinematographer and one lady from the academic field and research. So now this is the second session. So we are trying to have this kind of diversity as far as the planning and the scheduling of different sessions is concerned. And this whole festival is for 7 days. And this is happy to note, and I'm happy to share this with everybody, that there is a large participation happening for the last 2 days. And the number of participants varies from 100 to 400. So that variation is there, because yesterday we held a very pertinent session on animation films. And the top 4 people of India in the animation industry, they were there, and the participant touched upon 400 approximate on the Zoom platform. And I must tell you this as well, that we are doing the live streaming of all these sessions on one platform. And then on another platform, the films which we received as part of this festival, these films are being screened. So this is a completely new thing that we have experimented. And all these sessions are streamed live on YouTube also, and also on Facebook. So that way we are on 4 platforms: YouTube, Facebook, Zoom, and then on our website also. All films are being screened on our website. And then similarly, all such sessions are being streamed on the website, from there to YouTube, from there to Facebook. So during this pandemic time, we are trying our best to make use of the technology and to reach out to as many people as possible. So, and this Deakin University's collaboration is a big thing for us, because Dr. Vikrant Kishore has been instrumental in getting so many sessions happened, whether it's the curated sessions or the panel discussions. And one important thing which we have succeeded in doing, the participation of students. because if a film festival is being organized by two educational institutions, DME and Deakin University, and if simply we people, the teachers, the faculty members organize it, and there is no involvement of the student, that such kind of festival has no meaning. So we have tried to ensure this at different levels, not only in the audience there are students, but on the panel also there are students. And two such sessions yesterday also, Dr. Potter organized a session of fiction filmmaking, and today Dr. Vikrant Kishore has conceived this on the documentary. We also had the DME students also had on the first day itself a panel discussion on the ease of filmmaking with the help of the digital technology, and then the problems which are being faced during this period of COVID-19, because the theme of this festival is that the impact of COVID-19. So I will not take much time, and I hand over to Isna. You take it forward.
Thank you so much, sir. I'm overjoyed to announce that we have received 110 films, 80 hours of screen time in 10 languages across the world and Indian states, reflecting the diverse nature of this international film festival. We are also thankful to our festival partners, Cover Drive Productions, Vigyan Prasar, CMS Vatavaran, Kids Cinema India, We Care Film Festival, and Delhi International Film Festival. Our university partner, Adamas University, and institutional partners, Indian Documentary Producers Association, Indian Academy of Shorts, New Delhi Film Foundation, and our media partners, the Pioneer and the Policy Times, for their constant support in organizing our one-of-a-kind mega hybrid film festival. Also, special thanks to celebrated filmmaker, director, and actor Mr. Tigmanshu Dhulia, our festival ambassador. The panel discussion will be moderated by Dr. Vikrant Kishore, who is an academician, filmmaker, photographer, author, and a journalist. He has more than 25 documentaries and corporate films to his credit. Currently working at Deakin University, Australia, as course director for film, television, and animation. Dr. Kishore's focus is to bring due attention required to the study of Indian cinema in Australia. He has organized various international conferences, film festivals, and seminars on Indian cinema. Dr. Kishore has been actively working for the safeguard and preservation of the cultural heritage of East India, especially Chhau Dance. Dr. Kishore is the author of the book From Real to Real Folk Dances of India in Bollywood Cinema, published by UNESCO APNIV, and he has co-edited 3 books on Indian cinema. This film festival wouldn't be successful without student participation from day one of CIFFI 2020. We have witnessed a good number of student participation. Panel discussions are being paneled by students entirely, which makes them an important part of our festival. The university student panelists for this session are Mr. Andy Potter. Andy is a graduate of the VCA Film and Television School and has written for the Sydney Morning Herald and ad leads in Delhi. His kids' book, Little Chef, Big Curse, was published by Scholastic in 2014. He has received feature script development grants from key state and federal Australian film bodies. Mr. Tim Roberts. Tim is a master's student at Deakin University. When he is not making short documentaries, he works in the health sector, making training resources for mental health workers. Tim has an interest in the power of storytelling as a learning tool and capturing short snippets of stories otherwise lost to history. Ms. Jiapi Wu. Jiapi Wu is an award-winning producer with worldwide production experiences in theater, film, and television. Her recent work, Idol, won the 2020 Dendy Awards at Sydney Film Festival, and her representative documentary production, Silver Lining, Ran Lee 2019, has also successfully completed an Australian documentary festival run. Mr. Sam Sung-mi Lee created films that challenge viewers across various cultures through messages and themes that are universally relevant in his mission. With a focus on writing and directing short films, his ultimate goal is to direct a feature-length film and help the Australian film industry grow. Miss Sarah Thomas. Sarah is a final year student of Bachelor's of Film, Television and Animation at Deakin University. She has worked on a variety of short films and experience in live television and community radio. Sarah plans to continue creating content with a focus on writing and directing. Mr. Ved Soni. Studying Master of Communication at Deakin University with a major in TV production, he is a keen learner and aspiring filmmaker. He is passionate about narrating ordinary stories and expressing human emotions. His most recent work is a short documentary film called Me First, which was shot during COVID-19. Miss Olia Kobzar. Olia is an aspiring filmmaker and content creator, currently finishing her first year of Masters and of Film and TV at Deakin University. She took part in several TV projects as well as various feature and documentary short films. She has directed a number of films herself. Olia strives to become a professional video editor and film director. I would now like to request Vikrant sir to please start the session.
Many thanks for that introduction. And it is really good to be back again for another session here at CIFFI, which we are doing it online virtually. And it's great to see so many students and staff members participating in all these discussions. Of course, my congratulations to Amreshji and his team of really dedicated staff members and students who have been really putting in lots of hard work to make this particular online event a success. And we can see with the kind of number of participants that we have. Of course, today's session is special for me as well, because I've got my students who have worked with me over the last few months very recently, and some like Sam and Sarah have worked with me about a year back. So, and I've seen them in action very closely, mentored them and got to see them to bring out some really good stories. And what all the students here are from different cohort. So Andy, Vedant, Timothy, Jayape, and Olia are master students, whereas Sam and Sarah are final year bachelor students. But they all have been doing some interesting work, and the kind of, when she was reading their profile, you could easily make out that they have been going out and making really interesting stories, also winning awards. So it really always gives me pleasure to see students taking that kind of step and doing things that they really are passionate about. Of course, we'll get on to the discussion, and there's so many things to discuss about. And our topic is documentary production during COVID-19, challenges and opportunities. And as students, especially you all might be knowing that Melbourne went through one of the longest lockdown of more than 7 months, all right? Andy was sitting in Adelaide and doing the work because we could offer him a virtual course because of the lockdown. So it is a very rare case that documentary production course is offered virtually, but thanks to COVID in a way that he was able to join us. And that was a different experience for Andy to do it virtually. And in fact, everybody else was also doing it virtually. But I'm going to start my first question, and I'm going to put all the girls first to answer that, okay? So Sarah, Olia, and Giape, what was your experience of working on a documentary during the COVID lockdown? Were there any challenges? So any of you can start with your response.
Can I start?
Yes, Olia, please.
Yeah, so I think like for me, working on my documentary film during the pandemic, it was very exciting, like producing a film within those conditions and restrictions. Like for me, it was some sort of a level up, like when you have to go through additional obstacles to make a product. And also those conditions, they were always changing. Like I was trying to pre-plan and everything first to fit my project in the existing conditions, but then the new restrictions were announced, so I had to adapt to them. And later, then it came to the shooting, I realized that I still haven't calculated everything, so I had to improvise. And yeah, it was very exciting. Like the final product, I was able to produce the film I wanted to produce, but like still I had to adapt to change the narration to fit to the current conditions. But like overall, I made the story I wanted to make. So yeah, I think I've passed those missions. But yeah, that was challenging but very exciting.
All right, that's good to hear, and that's what generally lots of people have been talking about. So, Giape, would you like to share your thoughts?
Yeah, it's challenging for me as well. Like, before I came to the course and before I'm this year, I all the documentary shots that I do were observational. So we planned everything and wait the surprise to happen. But now it's like the COVID-19 issue kind of limit the production itself, like the size of the crew and the location about it. And it's kind of change influence my creative workflow. So like I have to think really carefully about how like we could visually present the story um doing the certain situation. And it's I work with my filmmaking partner, and it's kind of challenging because we have to work with distance. It's or about trust, like how I trust her and how she gonna trust my decision, as well as how we gonna arrange everything, like doing the time frame that we have. It's quite challenging, but it's interesting as we are pushing ourselves to become more creative than we are. And yeah, that's pretty much my experience over here.
All right. So, Sarah, what about you?
Yeah, so this year was definitely, a challenging year where we really had to learn how to adapt. I found it interesting as well because going into my final unit, we were to make a film. So my film was kind of based around menstruation, and kind of with the restrictions, we weren't able to make that. So we had to adapt our ideas, and we decided to make a documentary piece about it. I guess you could say it's a wonderful thing that came out of it, that we were able to create something with so much meaning, and that's what's really great about documentaries. But yeah, at the same time, there's always challenges of how to do that, like virtually. So it was very, very interesting, but a good learning experience.
All right, so Andy, I'll come to you. And Andy, you made a very exciting documentary, and you are actually able to go out and shoot as opposed to others who were stuck with the lockdown. Adelaide was somewhat open at that point of time. So, can you share your views on that?
Yes, Adelaide wasn't in lockdown. However, my biggest hurdle was that where I would have gone to hire my equipment, like a lights and a decent sound recorder, track mixer thing, that place was closed. It was a media resource center. Because of COVID, it was closed. They weren't hiring anything out. And when I looked at the professional companies, which was still open, professional equipment hire, they were very expensive. And I just thought, I did all the budget. I thought, I should just save my bickies up and buy some of this equipment. So I did. So COVID is responsible for me having a little mini film studio, sort of. A couple of lights, a decent sound recorder, a decent camera, SLR camera, DLSR camera. And yeah, apart from that, Adelaide wasn't in lockdown, so I could go out. I wasn't restricted in any way, although we were conscious of, not coughing on each other or, and there was only one, I was the entire crew. And it was largely, I was following one person. So it wasn't there was no need for a Tom Cruise sort of situation where I had to do a big rant about people getting too close. if you're following that story.
Okay, no, that's interesting to know. And Vedant, you were for the first time, you got into a film course, and it was a first experience for you to make film. So what was it like? And of course, with no access to equipments, and you had to find ways. So can you share some information about that?
Yeah, sure. For me, it was a very thrilling yet very exciting ride. So the biggest challenge for me was, like Andy said, the media resource centers was closed and I was very limited to my equipment. So I had to find new ways to film my documentary. So I actually filmed everything on my iPhone. So I never knew I could explore this way of filming anything, because mostly, anyways, it was a new playing field for me because I was mostly behind the camera doing the editing and everything. So this was like a really good challenge for me. And also, I guess one of the learning curves was to understand your subject when you're interviewing your subject in a documentary, and really understanding what emotions they're going through, and not being too pushy to like let them lead them on, or doing anything like that. It really brings out the social skills in you. And I feel like because of, as a communication student, I think there are a lot of transferable skills which I found and I realized in myself. So it was a very exciting experience.
Thanks for that, Vedant. So I'll move on to Sam. Sam, would you like to share your thoughts? And you worked on a documentary on a cricketer last year, but this year it was something different. So just uh,
Yeah,
tell us a bit more about that. What are you doing?
sure. Thank you for having us. Hopefully, yeah, we can share some fun knowledge. Yeah, for me, I was meant to be making a fictional short film in my final year for my graduation film, but with our restrictions, we couldn't do that. So I had to try something else from home. And once we knew we had to do something else because of the restrictions, I was brainstorming what the best project I could do from home would be. And since I was young, my mom, she always made me write a diary every night before going to bed. And I doing that growing up became a habit, and I enjoyed doing that every day. So I did that throughout high school, and I still do it. But when with COVID, it was such an interesting time. I wanted to do take my love for writing a diary and translate that into a documentary that documents this part of our lives as a filmmaker. So I ended up making a documentary about my own writing, directing, and processes, and how I was going by with making this short film that was originally meant to be my graduation film. I'll share a photo. I think that will make it more visually interesting. So this was like at home. I had some stuff that I could use, so I just set that up from home, and then it was a very fun experimental approach because I was really working by myself. So I had never been, that was my first time doing everything behind the camera, setting it up, and then going in front of the camera, and then sometimes having to rely on autofocus and doing lots of takes. But it challenged me in that sense. It challenged me, but it also helped me see how much one person can do as a filmmaker. So I think it's grown me in that way, and it's encouraged me to not be afraid to just go out and shoot something by myself in the future.
Great, thanks, Sam. That is interesting to know, and good to show your picture as well. Yeah, do share whatever you feel like sharing, and tell more stories about you. Tim had an interesting story, and I really love his documentary, though it was a very kind of a slideshow based, but it was a very strong story that he could come out with. So, Timothy, tell us about your experience and what did you do and what were the issues that you faced?
Yeah, so it really brought everything back to basics. I think we had to examine, instead of approaching it from with an end goal in mind or with the sort of film that you produce, you took it back to ideas and approach things from different angles. So I chose to look at something from the history of my family, but also, a World War II story, and found that I had a wealth of stuff, that diaries and photos and all this stuff that I had to think about how it came together visually. It's right. It kind of I ended up with a very fancy PowerPoint or slide presentation to work with initially, but was able to, the fabulous thing about working on the internet is that you can collaborate with people from across the world. So worked with voice actors and sound people from just different avenues, podcasts that I work on and that sort of thing, who are able to, add different emphasis in terms of what the end product looked at. But I wouldn't have been able to do this unit in person because of the style of the work that I do. So to me, it's been about coming to it from different angles, and it's been really great to have something to do during the lockdown that went on for a pretty long time.
Yeah, great. Thanks for sharing your views on this thing about how you worked on COVID lockdown. And seems like you all enjoyed and found new ways to discover storytelling, and you told your stories. So I think there are lots of people who would like to see what you have worked on. So shall we try and show maybe a minute or two of your clips, and then maybe you can talk through that? So maybe we can just start the way we started. So earlier, if we can start with your film and screen maybe whatever portions you want to, and then talk through it. And I would also ask all the audience participants here to send your questions rather than me asking questions. It's always good to have the audience participation and your direct questions, and you can just direct it to anyone or everyone, and that will be a good way to continue this conversation. And Isna can very well moderate that and throw those questions to us. So Olya, yeah, whenever you're ready.
Yeah, okay. So yeah, I will show you the first 2 minutes, like some sort of like expositional part of my film, and then
I would like to state a rule here. If there isn't any copyrighted material here that we'll be talking about.
No, like there was a footage that I've bought from the website. So like I have the rights to show it. It's just like one shot. So
also, I expect it is not downloaded from the YouTube.
Sorry?
I expect every participant that the clips that they'll be showing aren't downloaded by the YouTube.
Oh, they are on the YouTube, the film.
Okay, so I will request not to screen it here because YouTube material isn't allowed.
She has uploaded on YouTube what she meant to say. It is her own.
Yeah, so I've uploaded to YouTube.
Great.
Yeah. So all the films that the students made, copyright belongs to them.
Yeah. So can I show it via YouTube, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
You can show it via YouTube, rather. You use your YouTube account to screen that.